Well, hello and welcome back. Today we've got a fun one as we take a look at Arcadia, episode 15 of season 6. Premiering March 7th, 1999, Arcadia places Mulder and Scully in possibly their worst predicament yet. Married life? The episode begins at the Falls of Arcadia. You know, one of those hoity-toity gated communities where the Karens run around telling people what they can or can't do at their own homes? I don't know why anyone in their right mind would want to live in a place like this.
Didn't want you to get fined. Just trying to be neighborly. Gotta be up to code.
Oh no, the mailbox isn't the right color? Someone hurry, call the police. David Klein then has one of the most valid crash outs I've ever seen in a while, because who cares about the damn mailbox? The Kleins did get a mysterious package though. One of those silly whirly gigs with the man chopping wood. Classic. But I'm sure someone on the block will bitch about that too. What I love about Klein is his level of pettiness, because he puts it up anyways just to piss off his neighbors. That night there's some spooky shenanigans going on downstairs, so Dave decides to investigate. Oh no, who got in the strawberry jam? I'm sure he'll be fine, just go back to bed. It's not like he was just killed by a giant garbage monster. Anywho, the Kleins are both killed by the walking landfill, and 7 months later, Mulder and Scully move in to investigate. Mulder's looking very yuppie-ish, and Scully, well, she's looking very 90s stay-at-home mom. Or even better yet, she has real substitute teacher energy.
I'm Rob. This is my lovely wife, Laura.
Rob and Laura Petrie.
We pronounce it Petrie, actually.
Oh.
Like the dish.
Rob and Laura Petrie. Now, why does that sound so familiar? The spookiest thing about this episode are all the stupid rules Mulder and Scully will have to follow, like being moved in before 6 p.m? What happens after 6? Does all their stuff turn back into pumpkins? If they move a sofa after 6 p.m., does it turn into a gremlin? Am I the only one who doesn't like houses like this? I don't know what it is, it just doesn't feel like home. The one thing Mulder and Scully notice right away is just how clean everything is. I can only assume the previous owners scotch guarded everything before their brains were splattered everywhere. I like how Mulder and Scully can go from nearly kissing one moment to please don't touch me the next. The fakest thing about this episode is just how helpful their neighbors are. Though this was the 90s, back then people actually spoke to one another. You know what's funny about this guy carrying the chair on his head? I did the exact same thing when I was a kid, pretending I was in jail. Anywho, Big Mike drops a box labeled China, which is definitely not equipment, so the agents can do their little investigation. And if you're wondering why he's named Big Mike, well... he's fat! You know, I was actually gonna say because of his big heart. Win Schroeder, mailbox painter extraordinaire, lets Mulder know that he can't have his little basketball net in the driveway because it's against the rules, though he might get special accommodation if he speaks to Gene Gogolak, the head of the douchebag council, or whatever they call themselves. Anyway, the agents are all moved in and can finally get down to business, investigating the crime, you perverts. Mulder gets started on the carpet, which immediately makes him smarter than Batman.
You want to make that honeymoon video now?
Dear Penthouse Magazine. Surprisingly, this undercover act was Skinner's idea. Either he truly believed this would be the best route to solve the case, or he's secretly playing matchmaker. But what happened to the rule about male and female agents consorting in the same space while on assignment?
However, I must remind you this goes against the Bureau's policy of male and female agents consorting in the same hotel room while on assignment.
Although, as Mulder points out, it's not so much the case that Scully is interested in, but more so playing house.
Woman, get back in here and make me a sandwich.
Big Mike stops by to drop off some china when Scully notices something rather interesting.
That's a caduceus.
Did she just call him a douche-ass? Well, that's kinda rude, Scully. Turns out Big Mike's a veterinarian, and you know Scully is just dying inside since she can't tell him she's a medical doctor. She does make things weird when she brings up the previous owners, the Kleins, though. Alright, who left their brain matter on the fan? Meanwhile, at the Gogolak residence, the neighbors are sitting around and discussing Mulder and Scully when Gene Gogolak, who's clearly the episode's villain, tells the ladies to leave so the men can speak. In a roundabout way anyways.
Don't you think that maybe this time it would be better if we told them?
See, I told you Big Mike was named because of his heart. He seems to be the only one on the block that doesn't want to see his new neighbors get killed by a hulking garbage monster. Unfortunately, Big Mike's compassion has put a massive target on his back, because Gene here can't be having anyone who actually cares in this neighborhood. Somehow a light bulb breaks at Big Mike's home, and thus summons the garbage monster. If a broken light bulb is all it takes, then this would be way too easy to get someone you don't like killed. I would be breaking so many light bulbs. Wait, I should probably edit that part out. The next day, Win Schroeder is washing off Mike's blood when Mulder and Scully arrive to return his china. I never realized how easy it was to wash off blood, or how no one heard Mike scream when he was murdered.
That was wonderful. We just spooned up and fell asleep like little baby cats. Isn't that right, Honey Bunch?
That's right, poopy head.
I don't want to know how he got that nickname. Win sure is acting rather suspect. It's almost as if he knows what happened to Mike. Anyways, Mulder and Scully speak to Gene about the basketball net. But unfortunately, it's a no-go. There's no fun allowed in Arcadia. You know, Gene sort of treats the rulebook like it's the Necronomicon. One of my favorite things about this scene is just how uncomfortable Scully looks the entire time Mulder has his arm wrapped around her. Later that night, the agents have dinner with the Schroders, which gives Mulder the perfect excuse to shed himself of all the UFO and paranormal nonsense and dump it all on poor Scully.
I mean, she's into those magnetic bracelets and crystals and mood rings, what have you. I mean, she's, God bless her, she's a sucker for all that stuff.
Things take a kinda dark turn when Mulder and Scully bring up that they called Mike's office, but turns out that the office has no idea where he is. He never left on any kind of business, and it's almost as if the earth just swallowed him whole. Scully and Cammy Schroeder decide to take Scruffy for a walk, but he doesn't look scruffy at all. Also, it seemed to be a lot brighter outside just 2 seconds ago. No, Scruffy, that's where Pennywise lives. Or maybe Toombs. Leave it to a chihuahua to start shit with a garbage monster. What's this? Mike's douche ass. He never goes anywhere without it. Thankfully, Scruffy is okay, though he's definitely gonna need a bath when he gets home. Oh my god, it's a chud! Mulder and Scully are discussing Mike's disappearance and Win Schroeder's very odd behavior, but it's their new domestic life that's the real focus here.
Why kill Big Mike?
Oh!
What's missing here is intent.
You know, I don't want to sound like a pig, but would. Mulder decides to start antagonizing everyone in the neighborhood with a pink flamingo, but these people are like ninjas because it's already gone. Wouldn't it be easier to just let Mulder and Scully get killed by the monster and move on to the next couple? I really hope he checked the date on that orange juice.
Whoa.
Mulder quickly uses the bathroom, and when he gets back, the mailbox is set perfect again. This has me wondering, is someone always watching? Are there cameras everywhere? Mulder's even left a note warning him to be like the others, or what? Is the boogeyman gonna come and get him? Mulder continues to defy the neighborhood Karens by playing basketball, something he was told several times already is against the rules. But based on what we've seen already and the note Mulder got, it seems these rules really only take effect at night. So why can't Mulder shoot some hoops during the day and then put the net away before nightfall? The monster almost attacks Cammy Schroeder because their bulb was broken, but why did it stop? And why didn't it attack Mulder? The net was clearly against the rules, but it didn't go after him. Are light bulbs higher on the rule totem pole? Big Mike managed to fix his light bulb and the monster still killed him. Why did it walk off and not kill Cammy, whose bulb wasn't fixed? Anyway, someone decides maybe playing basketball right now wasn't the best idea. Scully comes home with some paperwork, but I like how she hides it in a shopping bag from what I assume is an expensive store. Seems like she might not be alone though. Mulder meanwhile finds a giant hole in the lawn, which I'm assuming is where the monster came from. Mulder tells Scully about his run-in with the monster and how he finally believes they're dealing with an actual X-File, unlike that fake one that came out of the bathroom earlier.
Are you saying that I had something to do with this?
Who else? The exact same thing, the thing you had me do to Mike. Who else would do that?
Wait, so Win got Big Mike killed and is now upset that the same thing nearly happened to him? What did you think would happen being buddy-buddy with a psychopath? Scully shows Mulder the results of the blood they found earlier, and it turns out not to be blood at all, but garbage. Same thing with all the gunk on Scruffy, just nasty-ass garbage. So for a community that's all about outward appearances, there's something pretty smelly underneath Arcadia.
Somehow it's one and the same. The Kleins?
Yeah.
What if they're still here?
I mean, buried in the yard?
Mulder and Scully begin destroying the front yard looking for any sign of the Kleins, but I love how the neighborhood Karen is like, you can't do that. And all Mulder does is show her that there's no rule against putting a reflecting pool in the front yard, just taking their own nonsense and throwing it right back in their face. Hey, it's the Whirly gig, now who put that there? Mulder spots a legally distinct Pier 9 sticker and realizes only a man of Gogolak's refined, uptight taste would ever shop there. Oh no, not the garbage monster! Scully calls the FBI for a full forensic team, but how does she not notice the garbage monster stomping through the house? I mean, the smell would be a dead giveaway. Also, her gun is missing. I don't know who took it, but I have my doubts it was Mulder. I mean, he only rummages through Fowley's underwear.
It's come for you, Laura. You can't make a noise.
How the hell is Big Mike still alive? We saw his blood splattered everywhere. Generally, a wound like that doesn't just heal on its own. I do like the name Big Mike gives the monster though, the Ubermensch. Sounds kind of badass, and I'm sure it looks just as badass. So anyway, Mike dies trying to protect Scully, and in the meantime Mulder is placing Gogolak under arrest. Well, it turns out Mr. Gogolak created this thing, this tulpa as Mulder calls it, though Ubermensch sounds so much cooler. Gogolak got some ability or something while out in Tibet, and now uses this tulpa to make sure everyone stays in line and has the same colored mailbox, because reasons, I guess. This Gogolak is like the final boss of the HOA Karens. Mulder brings Gogolak back to his place, or the place he's staying at anyway, and Gogolak seems very pleased with himself. So much so that he tells Wynn not to worry, because these FBI agents won't be around much longer. The best part though is instead of helping Gogolak, Cammy's like, nah, let him die, he deserves it. Lucky for Mulder, Gogolak dies right before the Ubermensch can kill him, which in turn kills the Ubermensch because I'm assuming the person that created it has to be alive as well.
Meanwhile, the Falls at Arcadia has been named one of the top planned communities in California for the 6th year running.
Arcadia is not just one of my favorite episodes of Season 6, but one of my favorite episodes, period. For a season that honestly has fallen off when compared to the previous 5, it still has produced some real gems, and for me, this is one of them. It's not even the monster stuff that I enjoy the most, though it's fine, but it's all the little character moments between Mulder and Scully and their fake little domestic life that are the real standouts here.
Local PD came up blank on...
This is a sort of similar situation like Bad Blood, where you can sit here and just bring up all the great moments. Hey, remember the flamingo? Hey, remember when Scully had the gunk on her face? It's little things like that that I think make this one so much fun. The X-File aspect, the monster, is pretty fun, though it sort of feels a bit derivative. It sort of reminds me of the golem from the episode Kaddish. In Kaddish, you have a Jewish woman grieving the loss of her soon-to-be husband, to which she creates a golem, a creature made of the earth, to get her revenge. Here in Arcadia, you have a man who obtained some Tibetan mysticism and created a thought form or a tulpa in order to get revenge on people who play basketball or have burnt out light bulbs. Alright, maybe the motive isn't necessarily as strong as it was in Kaddish, but close enough. What I find interesting is there's apparently a whole community of tulpa-mancers, people who create these thought forms as a means of combating loneliness, I guess? The idea of a tulpamancer seemed to take off because of My Little Pony, 4chan, and Reddit, which explains a lot. The Ubermensch wouldn't be the only tulpa in the X-Files though, because in the Season 10 episode, Home Again, which everyone thought would be a sequel to the Peacock storyline, we got the Band-Aid Nose Man. Now correct me if I'm wrong because I only watched that episode once and remember next to nothing, but I vaguely remember the Band-Aid Nose Man coming about because a street artist was trying to protect the homeless or something like that. So even though it was going around and murdering people, the intentions were a bit more altruistic in nature, instead of just, I want everyone's front yard to look the same. And if you've ever wondered what the Ubermensch really looks like, well...
Who's that Pokemon?
The Ubermensch.
Yeah, it looks kinda stupid. It actually sort of reminds me of the robot from the Phantom Creeps, what with its stupid bulbous head and toothy grin. Rob Zombie would actually go on to use the robot for various music videos and stage performances, but imagine if Rob Zombie directed Arcadia. Ugh, I shudder to think about it. During an Ask Me Anything on Reddit, David actually commented on the first time he saw the Ubermensch. We were shooting an episode in LA. We were shooting Arcadia, and so they were flushing all of their garbage, psychic and otherwise, and there was this monster that was made out of all of that, and we had a bit of a crowd watching, just because we weren't locked up in a McMansion, and I hadn't seen the monster, and I shot my reactions of being terrified first and girding myself to battle it. And then the poor guy came out in the monster suit, and Michael Watkins had the best line because I said, "That's not a scary looking monster," and he said, "He looks like the guy who f***ed Mrs. Butterworth." I think they all realized pretty early on that the monster looked pretty damn silly, which is likely why when we actually do see it, it's shot very quickly, kept mostly in the dark, and it looks like it was covered in wet moss or garbage or something because you can't see its head or face. This is a creature that staffers lovingly nicknamed Gumby on steroids, Mr. Butterworth, Fecal Fred, and my personal favorite, the Shit Monster. Which, yeah, when your own crew is calling it the Shit Monster, maybe that tells you something about how the design phase was going. Assistant Director Bruce Carter said the biggest issue was that nobody could visualize what a psychologically manifested heap of garbage should actually look like. Should it be a real creature with muscles and sinew? Or should it literally be a walking compost bin covered in banana peels and coffee grounds? Apparently they just looked at each other and said, yes. Under insane time pressure, effects legend John Vulich whipped up a suit. Basically, a big foam rubber onesie. They poured urethane foam on it to make it bubble, glued shredded rubber all over it, and coated the whole thing in sticky gunk. And then they shoved very tall actor Roger Morrissey inside it and said, "Okay, now look scary." Which explains why during editing they showed less and less of the monster. The more they looked at it, the more they were like, yeah, maybe keep this thing in the dark. Like, way in the dark. This was the first script from staff writer Daniel Arkin, and his inspiration came from real-life HOA horror. Back in 1991, he and his wife moved into a co-op in Greenwich Village. Their movers were late, and they didn't start moving until 4 p.m. Huge mistake, because buried somewhere in their 300-page rulebook was a clause saying you get fined if you move in after 5 o'clock. They got charged $1,000, and this is back when $1,000 actually meant something. So naturally, he turned that trauma into a story about a garbage golem that murders people for not replacing a porch light, as one does. He also said that more and more of his successful friends were moving into these creepy, hyper-controlled, gated communities, and he found the whole Stepford vibe kind of frightening. And since this is the X-Files, kind of frightening becomes Summon a Tulpa made of literal trash. Arkin originally pitched a totally different plot involving an infamous criminal moving into the neighborhood and becoming a living boogeyman. Chris Carter basically said, what if we skip the subtlety and just make him a monster? And thus the Ubermensch was born. Arkin already wanted to use Tibetan Tulpa mythology, so he just gave Gogolak a convenient backstory where he traveled in the Far East and learned how to manifest psychic sludge. Easy peasy. And the idea to have Mulder and Scully go undercover as a married couple? That happened in the writer's room with one of those, wait, we've never done that? We should absolutely do that. And thank God they did. Effects supervisor Bill Miller had to redo Scully's digital evidence tape 6 hours before air. Fortunately, someone randomly had Scully's actual camera sitting in their car because they were on their way to get fitted for a tuxedo. Look, this show was held together by tape and miracles. The real MVP though was property master Tom Day, who needed the wood chopping whirly gig. He went to 30 stores and every single one said, sorry, it's Christmas, no whirly gigs. He finally found one in some guy's backyard, made duplicates, and then during Christmas vacation, discovered a whole store full of whirly gigs in Mystic, Connecticut. An entire store, nothing but whirly gigs. It was basically the universe just pointing and laughing at him.
You stupid.
Gillian Anderson said she loved doing all the tiny married couple bits with David, and she especially enjoyed calling him Poopy Head.
That's right, Poopy Head.
Fans adored it too. This episode let Mulder and Scully do marriage cosplay without breaking their platonic dynamic, and people just ate it up. And like I said earlier, the little domestic life they have in this is really the best part.
Did I not make myself clear?
Arcadia currently sits at 8.4 on IMDb, and since this is one of my favorites, I'm probably looking at a 9. Up next, things aren't nearly as fun. When Mulder and Scully investigate a spooky dog that can shapeshift or something, and Scully gets jealous over a woman that she really shouldn't, in the episode Alpha. So what do you think about Arcadia? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you have a great start to the week and stay spooky.
Perfect house.
I'm Rob. This is my lovely wife, Laura.
Perfect neighbors.
If we ever go undercover again, I get to choose the names.
Perfect terror.
Somebody in the house.
Voted Best Dramatic Series, Best Dramatic Actress and Actor by the Readers of Entertainment Weekly. The X-Files, an all-new episode, Sunday at 9 on Fox.
Huge thanks to all my channel members, you're the real MVPs of the Spooky Squad. Your support helps keep the lights flickering and the monsters fed. If you'd like to join up and help support the channel, check out the join button below. But no pressure, just watching and liking helps a ton too.